All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Up and In Show. It's day 2 of my daily Up and In, and I'm just going to be real with you guys. I know yesterday, if you guys are following, if you guys watched any of the videos, I was going to talk about positivity and optimism as the start of the show, and that was my intention this morning. When I got up, I felt really good, took a nice walk, I was reading a new book, had a good meditation session with Lila, and then my day just took some turns, so instead of positivity and optimism today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I experienced yesterday, what I've experienced today, and kind of what I'm going through, just to document a little bit of my journey and share with you guys some of my struggles, some of my successes. So I'll get into that quickly, and then after that I'm going to pivot. I'll talk a little bit about something that was positive this morning. I did have a really cool phone call with a guy named Jordy Holtberg, who hosts a ESPN radio show in Lafayette, Louisiana. So we broke it down and talked some LSU baseball. So I'll talk about that. I'm getting ready to actually go over to an LSU baseball game tonight with a former college roommate of mine that played at LSU with me, Austin Ross, and a lot to do with what has happened the last couple of days for me and kind of the journey that I'm kind of ironically embarked on in the last couple of days. But yeah, so this morning I was reading a book called The Wisdom of Insecurity, and it's a really, really old book, 1950, but it kind of breaks down the principles of the physical world and God and beliefs and basically understanding fears and insecurities and how they drive our behaviors, and basically understanding your insecurities and your weaknesses, and then embracing them and understanding how they show up in your life can regain some control in your life. So it's an interesting book. I'm excited to reread that and give you guys some feedback on that. So that started my day off really nice. I had Lila on my lap. I was doing a meditation, getting ready for my call with Jordy. And everything was going well, posted something on Instagram, connected a little bit. But then as the day went on, I had some heaviness. Last night, like I said, Austin came into town and we went and got some dinner and caught up a little bit. It was really nice. And then he came back to my apartment and we were shooting the shit a little bit. And I noticed that he was talking about God a lot or Jesus, I should say, in our conversations. And it threw me off a little bit because he's always been one of the best human beings that I've ever met in my life, but he wasn't ultra religious. I knew it was kind of part of his life, but it wasn't something that he spoke about, something that he made readily available, on the daily. So it was interesting to me to hear that, and I asked him about it, and he's in a transition phase in his life, and so just with multiple things, and as a 36-year-old man, we all go through different things and start realizing different things. So Jesus has come into his life. And it was interesting to hear his perspective on that last night. And I had a little bit of a calling to God moment, I think, today. And if you guys know anything about me, that is not me at all. I'm not here to say no God or any of that. But you guys know, if you have followed my podcast, I don't get into religious beliefs too much. No politics, no religion. It's just not my thing. I think everybody has their own beliefs, their own experiences. And I believe in multiple cultures and upbringing. So it's not been something I've talked about on here before. But ironically enough, I was working out this morning and I saw a cardinal outside, and it took me by surprise because I don't see cardinals too much in Baton Rouge, or at least I never noticed them. And so I dug a little deeper and went on Google, and found out that cardinals can represent or have some symbolism where they represent, hope and perseverance and good luck, and often is thought to have, a deceased relative, somebody from the past, kind of guiding you, showing up in your life and giving you that hope and that perseverance, that good luck. So that was interesting to me. And when I read that, I immediately thought about my grandfather who has passed. He passed in 2015. And I have an aunt that I'm really close with that to me is one of my closer individuals to my grandfather. And just, I think about her a lot when I think about him. And so I went to go text her, and I remembered that I hadn't answered a text that she sent about 2 weeks ago, and it was really interesting because as I opened up the text, I started immediately crying, and I realized that she was reaching out to me to say that she very rarely has these moments, but when God or the Holy Spirit calls her, she feels compelled to reach out. And so she reached out, and she said that she thinks I should find God or find something in my life to believe in. And during my grandfather's hard times, he found the Lord and found God, and God made his life better. So that was interesting to me to see, and I had a lot of emotion from that, whether it was releases, I don't know, but it was interesting to me, and I just really want to document it. And honestly, I'm just saying I'm paying attention to it. I don't really know. I definitely prayed today for the first time in a long time, and that's the way I approach spirituality. Is I kind of flow with things, right? So at this time in my life, if God is calling me or talking to me, I think that's pretty interesting, and I'm definitely listening. So. I think that'll be a cool journey to document and talk about here, and it's definitely had created some anxiety for me today, because I think sometimes when I think about religion and I think about God and I think about how I was raised as a Catholic, sometimes I feel dumb, I feel stupid when I pray or when I ask for things. So my intellect, I think, gets in the way sometimes of my beliefs and things. I'm not saying I'm smart, I'm just saying like the human brain. And I think that's interesting. And Austin actually left me 2 books today. And ironically enough, one of them on the back here says, C.S. Lewis is the ideal persuader for the half-convinced, for the good man who would like to be a Christian but finds his intellect getting in the way. So I thought that was interesting. I'm definitely going to embark on that journey a little bit more, and I wanted to share that with everybody. So I just say that to say, if there's something that's calling you, if there's something that's reaching out to you, go explore that. Just be intuitive, be inquisitive, be curious. And yesterday we talked about toxic fear and how that can run somebody's life or mindset. And so as I'm facing a lot of fear and uncertainty in my life in this transition phase from stepping away from the shop and doing more things on my own individually and working with athletes, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear, and I've built this card shop for the last 4 or 5 years, and for these changes to be happening, and some of them out of my control, and just learning how to adapt and adjust to things like that has definitely been heavy on me. And today was tough because I'm just going through a lot of things legally and trying to organize these things with the shop and the separation and that kind of stuff. So it's heavy, it's a lot, and I definitely struggled today. So I just wanted to share that with everybody, not in a way to be a Debbie Downer, but to just be real and just to say everybody struggles. And as much as my day was amazing in the morning, I definitely had a really long afternoon, but then I went and worked out, and now I'm able to do this video here, which actually makes me feel very connected and excited. And so I'm about to go to an LSU baseball game and go spend some more time with Austin a little bit before he gets out of town, and really just connect back to my roots. So again, just wanted to share that. And again, I'm going to pivot here to talking a little bit more about LSU baseball. Like I said, I had a fun phone call today with Jordy Holtberg, breaking down the LSU Tigers, and as a former LSU baseball player and MLB player, I had my time here at LSU and was fortunate enough to win a national championship in 2009. So Jordy and I had some good conversation today about the pitching staff and about Casen Evans, who started on Sunday against Tennessee and had a great start, went 6 innings. So I think, we were talking a lot about how the staff is set up to win. So I am really excited to see who steps up, because it's one of my favorite things at the end of the year when inevitably somebody steps up, especially for a good team. And if you're going to win a championship, there's always certain role players that step up. So we saw Michael Braswell do that last year in the SEC tournament, and then kind of, propel us, and Milam too, right? He really came into his own at the end of the year, and Braswell's kind of coming into that again this year. And then you're seeing Casen Evans, who's been a stud all year out of the bullpen, now step into that starting role. I think that's really cool, and he's one of the best freshmen that I've seen in a long time. So watching his development is going to be fun, and honestly how Jay utilizes him, whether he's a starter or a reliever, and that's what we were talking about today with Jordy. But it reminds me a lot of Louis Coleman, right? Because Louis Coleman came back his senior year in 2009, and it was a huge catalyst of why we won the national. I mean, he probably was the catalyst of why we won the national championship. We had a ton of other great players, and everybody played their role, but Louis was so versatile, whether he was closing or starting, and he was so dominant in multiple roles. Allowed us to be flexible, and ultimately, when you get in those different situations where you're in the College World Series, you're in a regional, in a super regional, and there's different seeds, it allows you to mix and match. So I'm excited to see what the Tigers do. I think their offense is pretty self-explanatory at this point. It's not any crazy big boppers. You got Jared Jones, who's going to be a first rounder, and Milam, who's obviously a spark plug, and then Derek Curiel, who's one of the best college baseball players I've seen, especially as a freshman, so advanced, reminds me a lot of a not as powerful, explosive, but Dylan Cruz, just in the advanced approach and the baseball IQ aspect of things. So he's been really fun to watch, and I mean, his talent speaks for itself. So excited to watch the Tigers down the stretch, and Jordy and I had a good combo today. So if you guys ever want to go check that out, Jordy Holtberg, he's got a great show out in Lafayette, but usually I pop in there on Mondays or Tuesdays, recapping the weekend. and diving into LSU baseball, especially as I get into the postseason. I've done that the last 2 years, so definitely been a fun thing to chop it up with Jordy. And if you guys have some time, go check that out because Jordy's the man. And then just kind of pivoting into today's picks, I did a little bit of research before we hopped on this video today. Let me pull up my numbers today. But there's a few picks that I had that I liked, and now, again, as we dive into this more, I'm going to do some more advanced research, and I'm going to get my flow with this. This is still very new to me, doing live streaming every single day or live content or content every day. So I'm definitely figuring out that flow. But today, if I was taking some bets, I would look a little bit towards, I like Mookie. He's 6 for 13, batting .462 with 2 homers and a double. Off the starter he's facing today. Let me look it up. Who's facing? I'm blanking on who it is. I think it's Logan Webb. Yeah, I think it's Logan Webb. So I like Mookie there, especially with the Dodgers and all the boppers that they have around there. Teoscar Hernández is absolutely on fire right now. Not a great track record or much experience against Logan Webb, but with all those guys in that mix in the lineup and Teoscar, doing well, I like Mookie batting second after Shohei with Freddie behind him, then Teoscar. So if he gets on, I like a hits, runs, RBI situation there. Jazz is 5 for 14, batting .357 with a home run, a triple, and a double against, don't get me started on this, against Kyle Gibson. Kyle Gibson, that's salty for me because I'm an idiot. I had it on my calendar to pick him up for fantasy. So if you guys are looking for a nice lean tonight, the way my fantasy luck goes, if I don't pick up a pitcher, he's probably going to have a quality start. So maybe look at some outs recorded for Kyle Gibson today. I don't know. Maybe earned runs under. I don't know. We'll see. But that's something just, there's no actual stats there that back that up. It's just literally anecdotal information on my fantasy stats and the way that it goes. So if I forget to pick up somebody, they're probably going to have a good game. And then when I pick somebody up, we got to fade them, of course, because for the first week, guys have terrible numbers when I pick them up, usually. So Jazz, 5 for 14, .357, a homer, a triple, and a double. So maybe some total bases for Jazz, depending on where he's hitting in the lineup. Maybe hits, runs, RBIs. If you like the Yankees and how they're going to score some runs, maybe against Gibson in his first start of the season, because he signed late, so he had some rehab starts, had some back tightness in his last outing. So if you guys are looking for the outs over, just keep that in consideration. He might be on an 85 pitch count, something like that. I highly doubt he'll go into the hundreds today. So just something to keep an eye on there. Cal Raleigh is 2 for 2 with a homer and a double off of, who is he pitching, or who's pitching against him tonight? Kachanowicz. I don't really know. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but for the Angels, he's got 2 at bats and has a homer against them. But he is batting 140 in his last 7 days, so just keep that into consideration. Marcelo Ozuna, good numbers against his starter. He has a home run in a limited sample size. Let's see. He is 2 for 5 with a homer and 2 RBIs, but he is batting .286. Hit a home run last night, so that might be something to look at. Marcelo Ozuna for total bases, maybe a home run if you want to sprinkle it. If you got a DK no home run or home run no sweat, that might be something to look at too. And Trea Turner, 6 for 19, 3 doubles, batting .316 against. Who's he going against tonight? The Nats, Mackenzie Gore. So good numbers against Mackenzie Gore. Also, Washington has some guys that have good numbers against Wheeler. I just don't like betting against Wheeler. So if you feel like the Nats are doing well, maybe a first 5 team total, maybe over 1.5. That might be something to look at. But I wouldn't put it as an official pick because I just don't like betting against Wheeler. Taylor Ward, somebody else who's having a nice year so far. He's 4 for 9, batting .446 with a homer and 2 doubles. And he is facing Brad Miller, I believe. Yes, Brad Miller. Yep. Tyler Ward, he's batting 4, so he's after Trout, 4 for 9, homer, 444. So that's something to look at. Let's see what his last 7 days were, because I know he was on a nice stretch, but I don't know if he's cooled off a little bit. Oh, he definitely has cooled off. So, yeah, definitely take that into consideration. Zach Neto is the only – Rengifo is heating up a little bit. But, yeah, Ward I'd probably – as far as my principles and how I bet, he's batting 100 in his last 7 games or last 7 days with a homer and 2 RBIs. Does have good numbers against a starter, so that's sometimes how you get out of a slump, but I wouldn't take him. If you want to sprinkle something on total basis, because it'll probably be a little juiced or you'll have a little bit of positive plus money there, I wouldn't hate that. Maybe like a quarter unit, half a unit on that. And then Manny Machado, he's batting 344. I can't even read my own handwriting, with a home run and a double in a pretty big sample size against, let me see who he's facing today. Padres, where are the Padres? Padres and Giants. Oh, he's facing Logan Webb tonight. Yeah. He's facing Logan Webb tonight. Who did I say was facing Logan Webb earlier? Raleigh, maybe? I don't know. But, yeah, Logan Webb is against the Padres. And I think I was saying Mookie. Mookie is facing... Who's he pitching or hitting against? The Marlins. Who the hell is pitching for the Marlins? Alcantara. All right, Sandy Alcantara, obviously one of the best pitchers in baseball. Not having a great year. 17 Ks, 12 walks. Oof. Yeah. Something to look at there. But we got games starting, boys and girls. Yankees just kicked off. That's really all I got for you guys today. Again, just trying to commit to this. I really want to be here with you guys every day. But again, positivity, optimism. We're going to talk a little bit of sports, business, that kind of stuff. Calculated risk, collectibles, all that good stuff. Pop culture news. So I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow's going to be a better day. I'm going to clear my head, enjoy my time tonight at LSU baseball. But appreciate you all guys being here, tuning in. If you guys enjoy the content, please subscribe, share it with anybody. And if anything helped you guys, please write in the comments. Reach out to me on Instagram. It goes a long way because I'm very unsure about doing all this. Today I almost backed out because I'm insecure about doing this stuff. It's not a strength of mine. It's not something I do enjoy doing it, but I feel crazy. I feel a little bit lost. I feel a little bit out there doing this. But I do enjoy doing it. I like documenting it at worst for me and my family and everything that's going on for my life and things like that. So again, if you guys are here, appreciate y'all. If you made it this far, especially appreciate you. And if you made it this far, just DM me on Instagram. I would love to hear if you guys did. And let's chop it up a little bit. Peace and love. See you guys tomorrow.